I'm Darren Bart, interior designer and aviation fanatic.
And I'm Sweeney Gray, journalist, and this is the Interior Podcast.
Emphasis on tea, as we spill the tea on all things design, home and construction.
Locally, regionally, and even internationally. So join us as we spill the tea.
On this episode, we sit with our friend Kevin Garcia as he gets real about his hobby turned business. Wow, okay, so this is the Interior Podcast. I'm Darren Bart.
I'm Sweeney Gray.
And we are so excited because we've been talking about this for forever.
Oh my God.
And yeah.
I'm so grateful to you for pushing me to do this. This is fantastic. This is something that we definitely have to do. It's an industry that we have to uncover just uncover.
All of the nuances, all of the different, basically, people have no confidence in interior designers. They have no confidence in contractors. They have no confidence in anything. So when some people come to me, the first thing I hear is, we had a bad experience.
Yeah.
So I have to tell you, well, we can fix that. But then again, they still have that bad experience in the back of their mind.
Well, yeah, I mean, the service industry is such a messy thing, especially anything to do with construction and building. It's also very confusing. Plumbing, we know if they say they come in at 5, expect them at 9 o'clock. It's not known for its professionalism.
Correct. And or just honesty.
Exactly.
Well, you just heard a voice, and that is Mr. Kevin Garcia.
Welcome, Kevin.
Thank you all for having me on the inaugural episode of the Interior Podcast.
You're our first guest, so yes, you're our first guest on the show.
First guest.
Okay.
And we're very
Glad
excited to
here.
have you. We are, we're very excited to have you.
Yeah, because I'm the one who is not the expert on design or anything. I'm the one here who's going to be asking questions and learning from the both of you. And I want to see the creativity bouncing off, but also, your interesting stories. I need reassurance that when I call, these men who are synonymous with taking people for a ride. Is that true? Is that not true? The tips and tricks to dealing with them and navigating all those pitfalls. That's what this show is going to do. These series and these episodes. So I hope you come ready to talk.
Certainly. I hope my time here, I'm going to be able to shed some light on that, as well as some do's and don'ts for people who may have renovation or construction intentions.
Perfect.
So Kevin, what's the name of your company? And just give us like a brief intro to you.
Okay, so my design operation is called K. Alistair Design. It reflects my name, of course, and I've probably been in the design space for about 14 years. K. Alistair Design I had established back in 2008, along with a landscaping business that I had run with my brother for a couple of years called Yardstick Landscaping.
Oh, okay.
That's a nice name though.
Yeah, I like that name.
Yeah, I like that name.
At the time, the vision was to incorporate both interior and exterior / landscaping design in the jobs that I had undertaken. As you all may know, I'm a banker, a career banker.
Right.
Had been for 19 years, working with one of the largest commercial banks in Trinidad. And I think my banking experience really complemented the work that I had been doing and then continued to do more extensively in the design space, because I was able to marry my customer service background, project management skill, people management ability in undertaking interior design projects.
That's cool, because when we met, you were at the bank.
Yes.
So we have come a long way.
We met you at the
long.
bank.
We've been all over. Yeah, because from banking, I know when you started the cardery, and we're here to Kealisa design, and then you're also painting.
Yes.
So we have an artist here. We have an artist.
Yeah, yeah.
So as I mentioned, the cardery, like just tell us about the cardery. How did that come about? How long did it last?
Right. So I would say I had been a reluctant entrepreneur.
I love that you say that, but go ahead.
Yeah, because really while I was at the bank, and I had been at the bank for 19 years, and it really was because I was looking for that stability in a job, stability of income, stability of tenure, that kind of thing, because really there was the fear of, can you really support yourself as an entrepreneur? But because I had been, always been prodded by friends and family who knew of my creativity, I decided to, whilst at the bank, really get into to undertaking design and creating things.
Right.
So I was not giving up my 8 to 4 at that time.
We need that safety net
We
somewhere.
do. So that is when I established Yardstick Landscaping. And in 2017, I decided to go full throttle with opening the cardery.
Right.
The cardery was an idea that I had dating back to my childhood days while I lived in Arima. And
So you're East Boy.
I'm an East Boy, yes. Born and bred.
This is East Trinidad for all of our international listeners. So Trinidad has, well, everywhere. East, West, North, South.
And Trinidad is such a place where every section has a different personality, but
Correct.
yeah.
That's a
That's
whole different
a
whole other
whole
topic.
different podcast.
Yeah.
So
So, as an East boy and growing up in Arima, I had recognized that the town did not have a very nice gift shop and card shop. Anybody wanting those kinds of things would have had to journey into Port of Spain
Or even
to
Trinidad
one of the malls.
Yeah.
yeah.
So in 2017, I decided to jump with both feet into being a store owner. So in addition to doing the cards, the greeting cards and stuff, I expanded what would have been available in the store by incorporating home accents, home decorating accents and so on. So the store opened in the week prior to Christmas of 2017. So I was hoping to capitalize on that Christmas rush. We did have a fair enough opening, but I do think in looking back, there were a number of things that could have been done better. So those were the lessons that I took from the experience, because I would say that my location, for one, was not ideal.
Okay.
So I did not have a lot of foot traffic.
Right.
So it required a lot more effort on my part to really bring people in and to let them know that I was here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that combined with, I think people were just not spending as much on items like that. So unfortunately, the carry only lasted about 5 months before I had to make the decision to close it down. But
Now, how is that? How did you feel doing that, knowing that I've just put everything into this?
well, yeah, it was a difficult decision to make to finally close it. But I think at the time it was the best decision
Right.
to make. And the lesson, one of the lessons coming out of that was, not to be afraid or not to be inclined to hold on to something just because I've spent so much effort into bringing it into fruition.
Right.
So, but the fact that I did was something that I was and still am very proud of.
Yeah. So let's talk about, because you said, you didn't really want to get into entrepreneurship, but you just spoke about one of the strong lessons that you learned very early on. Yes, I have this fantastic idea, but maybe it's not landing the way I wanted it to. So, let me cut those ties. So let's talk about your concerns about entrepreneurship and how you've turned your hobby into your business.
So I realized that one of the main factors in that decision really was recognizing where my passion is and what I'm passionate about.
And your passion is about what?
I'm passionate about creating. And
I agree.
Because a lot of us don't know what we're passionate about. We
Right.
think we like this, we like that, and then we always have some family member or somebody on our back saying, "Oh gosh, settle down, man, settle down and do this and do that and all these different things." And we have to find our passion. We have to know who we are and what we
very
love.
correct.
Yeah.
And sometimes it takes heartbreak. Sometimes it takes a kick in the ass. And so it's just like, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Especially in Trinidad and Tobago, where we still think doctor, lawyer, engineer. I mean, I
Correct.
think honestly, I have to celebrate anybody who knows this is not my area, this is not my lane. Let me do
Yes.
something. Let me do something else.
Right.
That's extremely important. So that's why I'm so interested.
I remember
in your
dropping out
journey.
of chemistry
Oh
because
Jesus!
I couldn't figure out this thing. Like, I could memorize the periodic table, but what the hell? Like,
You better than
I don't
me.
understand.
I knew in Form 3, I can't remember what my oh God, this is so bad, but chemistry was traumatic.
No, it
when
was
she
a
said you
traumatic
had to learn,
subject.
she was like, you had to learn the first 20 elements on the periodic table, and then she was like, but if you plan to do this for Form 5 and Form 4 and
Yeah,
Form 5,
no.
you had to learn how many?
I don't
100 and
even
something?
know.
100 and something. I
I
was
know
like,
hydrogen,
I top off.
helium, lithium, beryllium.
I know
boron.
H2O. I know CO2.
Okay.
Right? More than that? Nah, man. Nah. No. Mm-mm.
So I understand. You understand?
Not my ministry.
No, I understand. And I remember Mrs. Taylor, because I went to Northgate College,
Yeah.
and she was like, "You look like a creative." And she asked me about chemistry, and I said, "Listen, I can't." And she's like, "Well, we can drop it." And I was the happiest person.
And God bless her because
I did physics, mind you. When doing physics, I opened the paper, I wrote my name, don't know what else I wrote, but I passed. Because my SBAs were in the 96th percentile, so I think that's what allowed me to pass.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't know what was on that paper.
Oh God, that's
So, you
the other
understand?
one I couldn't do. But if I
So,
tell you my image,
I was on that journey,
Yeah.
thinking I needed to do sciences,
Yeah.
and then something else, and then now I don't need any of those things.
Yeah,
Son. So
Yeah.
So it's just
So it was similar for me as well. And to both your points, I had a mother who wanted me to do medicine.
of course.
So,
Dr. Kevin
guy.
Garcia.
so I always knew that I had artistic ability, but I knew I could not go to her to say that this is what I wanted to do because she would not have seen the value in it.
Right.
So throughout my secondary school life, I did not touch art at all, and it was only in my adult life and earning my own income, I decided to pursue it more and became self-taught, basically. So it really does, I think, drive home the point that a lot of young people too are channeled into certain streams and certain avenues that they really don't want to be in, but because of family influence and not wanting to disappoint parents and so on. So really I discovered art and developed my love for it, art and design, later in my adult life.
And what's your preferred medium?
Now I find oil to be it. I started off in watercolor.
Okay.
But watercolor is if I were to describe it as the baby steps in painting and so on, because it's a very forgiving medium. But oil, not so much. You really have to know a bit more about what you're doing. Yeah.
And that just shows
to use
growth.
oil.
Yeah.
It shows growth because I can put some paint on a canvas. I think that's something that I want to get into. So I mean, next time you are teaching class, I'll be in the back.
No,
Okay,
I'll be in the
nice.
class too because I've been obsessed with coloring books.
Right.
Yes.
Because I was a child that used to draw a lot. But you stop. You don't have the time. You don't draw anymore. And I'm like, oh my God, I just need a creative output.
And it's so interesting when you tell a child, because it's very common to hear children say, I can't draw. I don't know how to draw a house. I don't know how to draw a dog. And I realized this more during the recent sessions I had at the St. Dominic's home. Once you tell a child, you can do it the way you want to do it, the reaction to the exercise is completely different.
Correct.
Let's talk about that experience a little bit, because there's some people who are not necessarily friends with you on Facebook, so they don't know what you've been doing with the St. Dominic's home. So let's just have give them a little snippet.
So last year I was invited to participate in an exhibition that was held at my dentist's clinic. It was an initiative that she was having.
Who's this?
This is Dr. Chanel Hazel at the Smile in
Shanley.
Hazel.
Is it Smile in Clinic?
Smile in Clinic
Smile in
on
Clinic.
Oxford Road.
Yeah.
That's my dentist too.
Okay, nice.
I just know her.
Right.
And she's lovely.
So I participated in the exhibition, and one of the requests that she had was that participating artists be receptive to the idea of having some sessions with the children at different orphanages.
That's cool.
So it was something that I said yes to, and I was assigned to the St. Dominic's home in Belmont.
Sorry guys, I swore this was off.
Don't worry.
Alright,
guess
here's
it is
our
now.
first blooper.
So I had been rostered to go to the St. Dominic's Children's Home in Belmont, where I spent 3 Saturdays in April. So just interacting with the kids there, and as I described it, taking them through an art appreciation journey. So while some of the lessons were really dedicated to teaching them about color and color mixing and so on, it really was opening up their minds to art existing all around them.
And within them.
Right. Correct. So it really was, I did have the experience of many of the children telling me that they can't draw, they don't know how to create a composition and so on, but really it from the time you explain it to them, you flip it on them and tell them, this is really about you and how you interpret the world around you. And it was a 360-degree change.
That's so cool. One of the things I just realized that we forgot to ask Kevin. Kevin, what's your tea of the week? Let's hear it.
So my tea of the week is a very robust Grey Goose.
I like that tea, I like that kind of tea. Okay.
Floral notes of Angostura sorrel chill mixed in.
I like this piping hot tea.
Oh, listen.
I love it. So for the camera, hi. If anybody wants to sponsor tea,
Don't scold yourself, drink it slowly. I mean, Dara knows your tea.
my tea's wrong. Eldorado 15.
I mean, same.
I love it.
Same.
Kevin, as we talk about your art, let's talk about your interior design journey. Let's talk about pain points running this business. Because, we know. We know.
Well, I don't know, because I'm the only non-entrepreneur on this table. And yeah, what is it what is it like doing a design business in Trinidad, and also, working fully for yourself? Because we may not have said it explicitly, but you are no longer with the bank. You're fully devoted to Kevin Alistair Designs. So.
Well, not fully.
Okay.
So I left the bank in 2015, but I remained in corporate Trinidad and Tobago.
Okay.
So when I left, I went on to a general services and logistics company in Chagaramas at a more senior role. So I'm still holding on to the
The safety net, the safety net.
The safety net.
We like honesty here.
Yeah.
Right.
Because like I said, I don't have any entrepreneurial experience.
Yeah, and I think, you know, that's a reality we have to face up to.
Yeah.
We like, a number of people like to romanticize the idea of entrepreneurship, but if you are intent on making that your only source of bread and butter, you have to understand what that comes with.
Yeah.
For me, I am holding on to the safety net, as Darren says, and describes it. And I'm fortunate to be in an environment where I can set my own pace.
Good.
While making sure that my employers receive their pound of flesh.
Exactly.
And I have the flexibility to also deal with what comes under KRista design.
Great.
Nice.
Great.
So yeah, so when we talk about your pain points, like tell us, like running this interior design business, you have your clients, you have various clients, we have clients who want new builds, we have clients who want renovations. Like what have you been doing under KRista design when it comes to interior design?
So I would say one of the pain points that I've experienced is that clients who seem to want to dictate pricing, who seem to want to name my price and want to suggest what I should charge them. Because I think there is a mentality that exists that interior design is a hobby.
Yes. Or a thing.
It's a thing.
No. Somebody asked me, are you still doing that consulting thing already?
Gosh.
Wow. So yeah, so that's one of the things that has to change, because as I tell clients, my approach to interior design is that of an artist. What I create for you is unique. No one else in this world is going to have it. And there is a certain skill level and a certain eye and a certain passion that I bring to your project that I believe I am deserving of when it comes to the price that I call. So nobody gets to dictate that for me.
And I'm so glad that you're saying that, because I think entrepreneurs need to get that message as well. Like, you are paying not just for the tangible things, but the intangibles that are just as valuable. My experience, my intellectual property, and the customer service.
Correct.
And I mean, really and truly, if you could have done it yourself, you would have.
You would have.
Correct.
You know?
Yeah.
You saw the value in what I have to offer. Then trust me to do the work.
I think that's something
Yeah.
across the board, because even within my business, I have clients who, you second guess me. You bring people there on site visits or on a purchasing visit, and you are asking that person a question. I told you what will work. I showed you what can work. We have decided what will work. You bring somebody to this thing, and I'm like, why are you doing this to me? You're embarrassing me in front of people.
And you know,
Yeah.
Darren, while I hear you and I understand that 100%, the clients have had so many horror stories and so many bad experiences that stem from just plain dishonesty
Yeah.
with contractors that they would have dealt with prior. And that's another pain point.
Yeah.
You know, contractors and other tradesmen and workmen who are just dishonest, people who over promise and under deliver, who take your money and they disappear. So from the customer standpoint of things, I can understand sometimes the apprehension and the doubt
Yeah.
Okay.
that comes along with that relationship, but it really is down to me and to us to really change that perception for them. So where contractors are concerned, the list of horror stories is long.
What's the most, like, if you had to talk about your worst contractor experience in like 2 seconds?
Oh wow.
What's your worst?
The worst would be promising to be on a site and you don't turn up.
At all.
you don't turn up at all,
At all.
and you do not communicate
Don't
That you're not
listen.
turning up.
that you're not turning up.
You're kidding.
This, and sorry, this is so commonplace.
I'm sorry, what?
It is so commonplace that when you find a contractor who actually keeps you informed, it's like
You're stunned.
you're stunned.
Yeah.
Really,
I'm
you're stunned.
No,
Aren't you?
like there are these contractors who do not show up. I've had a story once where in one of my projects, 30 days out of the project, you did not show up to the site. The client and myself, we went shopping, we went abroad to shop. You did not show up the day we left. The next day after that, day after that. And the day you knew we were going to be back on site, you
This
showed up.
when you okay.
And then when the client deducted money from your balance payment,
You're vexed?
you kick up storm.
How?
Because you find
No, but how
It
you
should
have
not
the
happen.
temerity? Because if you're not showing up, that means the project goes longer.
The
Because you
person-
can't deliver on time.
one of the guys told me, Darren is Trinidad, these things happen.
No.
Yeah,
With my money
yeah.
that I would
And my reputation. You understand?
madness.
So yeah, that's one of the things that has to change in the industry, the work ethic, where there's no concern about timeline, with cost, with quality, with scope. And it's unfortunate that a number of contractors are very nonchalant about your entire house could be in a state of upheaval because we are renovating, and they are turning up when they want.
Yeah. And even those guys who come to cut a wall or they come to make something that making mess and all of your furniture is uncovered. Where is the plastic? How are you protecting this client's home? There are some people who would literally walk into a house, see things around. They won't say, hey Darren, hey I'm Kevin, we need to cut this wall, we should cover this or that. If we go out to the car to come back and you walk back inside, they are cutting the wall and dust everywhere. And it does not resonate with them. It does not resonate with them. And then you now have to either scramble together a cleaning crew, look at the client because the client is watching you like, what is happening in my house?
Yeah.
And it's like, where's your common sense?
Yeah. So what I've tried to implement in order to mitigate that is to try and apply some project management principles around how we go about things.
Yeah.
Because another thing that is lacking is that kind of understanding among the different work crews who work on a project. They may not understand what a dependency is. So for example, if we are doing a renovation, it means I may have to bring my plumber in first to run plumbing before my mason comes in, before my painter comes in, and so on. And that lack of understanding as to where each piece of that puzzle fits results in teams turning up whenever they decide, and everybody's in everybody else's way. So it slows everything down, it incurs more costs, and so on. And on previous projects, even though I've insisted that the different crews turn out for a meeting, this is foreign to them. Why do you want to meet? And why do you want to meet with everybody on the project side? And it's for those reasons, so that we can iron out who comes in when. And with that, we improve the efficiency overall. So then when I need you on site, so therefore you can take on other jobs and so on.
Yeah.
So it serves everyone's interest if we operate like that. But of course, the way we like to do things by VAPs,
And I'll like
it really does redound to the disadvantage to the client.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, that is who we should be focused on.
I think so. Definitely.
So I've had contractors not turn up when they are rostered to turn up, and then call me and say, well, we couldn't come today, but we'll come Saturday. And I'm like, we have to clear this with the customer first. We don't know. These people are living in the mess while we make it. Do they want us in their home on a Saturday?
Correct.
People are out running errands on a Saturday. Will we have access? So you can't just say that. So this is the kind of, massaging and information sharing that I'm trying to get my teams more conversant with, so that they understand what the bigger picture is.
Yeah, like that's I like this journey, I like this direction, because it's not an easy road. Is there something like that? It's not an easy road.
Obama.
Is it
Buju.
Yes, yes.
Like, no, not Bob. I was saying Buju, they say Bob, no. Buju name out my head. Yes, that's a Buju.
Kevin, as we continue on, because I realize I'm being told by our producers that time is running out. Can you shed some light between an interior designer and an interior decorator? Because I know this is a thing.
Because I'm not in the industry, I would think those things are interchangeable. But clearly they're not.
Right. So a number of people do think that. And I'll start with the simpler of the two. An interior decorator would come into an existing space and work with what is there. At most, I think an interior decorator would advise you on changing your paint, your wall paint. And then from there, you come in with accessories to highlight what is there. Maybe change your furniture and so on. The interior designer, on the other hand, is much more involved and may become involved at a structural level. If you are talking about changing walls, adding rooms, changing out floors, anything that requires deconstruction or construction is where your interior designer would come in, because you have inside of that skill set considerations of things like heating and cooling. How do you site your building to take advantage of things like breezes, of natural light, and so on, so that the interior designer role is much more involved.
Yeah, I think one of the lessons that I've learned is definitely about there's a science to interior design, space planning, getting things. There's so much more into it than shifting around accessories,
architecture, engineering. So yes, it is a much more involved.
So while it's one that we may not always consider, I'm guessing that actually it's a very it probably makes sense, even if you think you don't have a lot of money to spend, that you invest in an interior designer to make sure that what you're paying, you're getting the most bang for your buck.
Correct.
Because it's not just about putting that beautiful painting there. It's really thinking about what you're doing, how you operate, and the space that you have with which to work.
Yeah, definitely.
So the extent at which you are going with your project, because your interior designer may work closely with your architect, with your plumber, with your electrician.
So anytime you started, I was like, you have to work with the architect. And be there from the very early of the constructing process.
This will sound shady, but everybody is you watch HGTV.
Oh God.
And you become an interior designer.
So yes, and that's an important point. So not everybody who looks at HGTV is qualified to call themselves an interior decorator or an interior designer.
I look at HDTV, but only go ahead and decorate the space for me.
Listen,
that is not
I have literally gone into projects where Darren, Pinterest not working anymore.
Wow.
Or something else, and you call me, and I battle with, should I feel embarrassed or insulted that they just call me because? Or do I make this happen?
Don't take the money.
I'm gonna make it happen. Yeah,
agreed. You're paying my price. Well,
let's go.
So Pinterest and HGTV are useful. In terms of helping me to gauge what your tastes are, what your aesthetic is, and I can build off of that.
Right.
But
talking about aesthetic, what is your aesthetic? Whether it's just design style or aesthetic.
when I got the pre-episode
The brief.
debrief yesterday, and there was this question on it, it really had me thinking, because I really never thought of what my aesthetic would be called. And if I had to really put a name to it, I would say Caribbean modern.
I love that.
Okay, I love that. I love that.
Because as I reflect on my work, yes, I like the modern design, the sleek lines, the neutral palettes, but my stamp on my work really comes in where I utilize Caribbean elements.
Right.
So if it's in artwork, furniture pieces, floral motifs in wallpaper, and those kinds of things, because that's the question was asked earlier in the episode where my inspiration comes from, and I am very inspired by nature and the Caribbean in general.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think the Caribbean region really has a lot of elements that really feed into my aesthetic.
I'm so happy to hear that because, HGC TV doesn't have any Caribbean style
Do not.
shows, so you can watch HDTV, but they are dealing with a different climate. Different lifestyle, different culture. The fact that you're determined to anchor your design philosophy where we actually live, I think is extremely important.
Using the products, using the material.
Yeah, and not being ashamed of it,
Correct.
not thinking that it's lesser than or backward.
Correct.
No, this is
Correct.
where we are, and we love it.
And elevating it to a point where it can
I think
stand.
elevation is fine.
Yeah.
I think elevation is excellent.
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right, Kevin, our producers are telling us we need to wrap up and we need to dip into our tea bag.
I mean, this is.
So we have some questions. In our tea bag, we have someone who emailed to ask a question. So sorry if you can take this question, please.
All right, so we have a question from, is that Sienna or Senna? Senna, right.
Sorry for butchering your name.
I apologize. So she is asking, do you consider esthetician or functionality? So do you prefer aesthetics or function to be more important, and why? And do you ever have to compromise? How do you decide at what point the style is more important than the function?
If ever.
If ever. But I mean, because fashion is everything.
So
Tea.
I will take the middle road in answering the question, because it really does come down to the space that I'm working with.
Okay.
And I will give an example. In July of last year, I was asked by a client to redo her kitchen. And in her mind, what she had envisioned was working within the existing footprint. When I came into this space, I saw something completely different, where I could relocate the kitchen entirely, because we were going to gut the existing kitchen to begin with.
Okay.
And relocate it to the other end of the room where her dining space was.
That makes sense to me.
So,
and I'm not seeing this space, but that makes sense to me.
Right. So it was a complete reimagination of the space to improve on the function, but also expand on the aesthetics that she would have gotten had we stayed in the existing footprint.
Right.
So what she was able to get with that move was an additional, an increased width in the kitchen space of about 2 feet. Better views out of the windows, because now we were positioning the kitchen to the front of the house, so she had the view out of her window onto her lawn.
Right.
The
So you're
cooling of
possibly
the room.
making it a more pleasant place to
Correct,
be in
to be
while
in.
you're cooking.
Yeah, it was
Right.
then more breezy while she was in that area.
More natural lights, more all of
Correct.
these different things.
So I would say it really does come down to the actual space. There are some spaces that you'd walk in where you only have to deal with the aesthetics.
Wow.
But, where you can improve the function, why not? And, with the clients, once you explain what the vision is and what they are getting out of it, once you get them on board, well, that's just the icing on the cake.
Love
Nice,
that, love
nice.
that. I saw the customer service banking response there. It's like, you can do both, you can do both. You don't have to pick one over the other.
Correct.
So now we have to ask you, what's your favorite trend? What's your favorite design trend? Like, what's out there? What do you like?
What I'm seeing more of, and I really do hope it continues, is a focus on sustainability. Because there's been a lot of talk, unnecessary talk too, around the climate crisis,
Yeah.
and how every industry really has things that they can do to impact on climate change.
Yeah.
Right.
Design is no exception. And going forward, what I've started to do is really look at ways in which that I'm not just using recyclable materials, but how can I limit the amount of waste that I generate.
Yeah.
So one of the tactics that has come about is when clients want to change their floors, if they may have tile, I am no longer ripping up tile, because not only is it more expensive to do that, it is going to end up in our landfill.
Yep.
So with the advent of laminate flooring and vinyl plank flooring, that just goes down on top of the existing tile and you have a completely different room. So
You said laminate or the vinyl planks?
it can be both.
Right.
Once the floor is going on too, is level and all of that.
Because somewhere I went recently. Oh, I had a meeting on Sunday. Yes, I put a meeting on Sunday. But the client, she wanted to update her entire space, and so she asked me, "So do we have to take up the floor?" I said, "No, the vinyl planks go on the floor." And her mind was blown. She was like, "Wait, I don't have to do this."
Yeah.
Because of course she's studying dust, she's studying waste, she's studying
Time.
dumping and time, and
Yeah.
so and of course I sold the vinyl planks because I told her, "Listen, we have to dig up the floor. We have to put it in bags. We have to take it down 4 flights of stairs. Then we have to clean the floor, prepare it, level it, and then figure out what application we want to put there." So me telling her, "Listen, we just have to put the vinyl planks on." She was like, "Thank you, Darren."
Yeah, and you're very right, because unfortunately the Caribbean is ground zero for the climate crisis, so we really have
Correct.
to start thinking about it in every area of
I
our
think
lives.
a lot of wastage, because
Yeah.
last year I did a little course there's a Brazilian company, I will remember their name and I will put it in the show notes, where they were talking about sustainable design and all the sustainability.
Yeah.
And when it was basically design and so forth, but when they got to talk about sustainability and so forth, I got pissed, because sustainable material, where? Where in Trinidad?
Yeah.
And if I have to bring it in, it's £1 and a crown, because
Yeah.
they're going to charge me. And I think we have about 1 or 2 green buildings in Trinidad.
Yeah.
And to me, they're not even green, because where are the trees? Where are where are the trees to dampen the sun?
Yeah.
Where is it? Is it green because you have some trees inside?
Yeah.
I mean, we might get some kind of backlash for it, but I mean, oh God, come on.
No, we need to start having these conversations.
Yeah.
Because the climate crisis is here.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
I mean, our weather has gotten ridiculous.
Yeah,
places
it's really
that
out
didn't
of
used to.
whack.
Yeah,
It's
places
like-
that didn't used to flood.
It's first flooding.
And when we are supposed to be in our dry season,
We
it's
have none of that.
very, very rainy.
Yeah.
So
We don't have that. Like, we're just existing,
yeah.
and all of these things come into play when we are designing.
Correct.
Yes, and so like and that takes us into our next question, like our no tea no shade, like this sustainability, this issue of sustainability. It's a nice word. Yes, it's a nice sentiment.
What's the reality?
What is our reality?
Yeah.
Like, how are we really doing this? And I like the fact that you try your best to have sustainable design, to have sustainable material, to recycle, to try not to clog up the landfill, because everything is Rip it down and throw it away. Does gypsum, is gypsum biodegradable? Is our Celotex biodegradable? Are porcelain tiles biodegradable? What are we doing? What are we understanding? What are we learning from all of this? And then when the Beetham landfill is on fire, as it is now,
For days.
everybody vex. Yeah.
So yeah, and you know, these kinds of conversations have to continue, because it is going to require behavioral change.
Yeah.
Definitely.
At a national level.
Yeah.
And then at a regional level, you know,
And then there's all kind of different conversations
Yeah.
that has to be had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And who has to come on board?
Correct. And all the different committees and, you know, all of those things.
So the bureaucracy aside, you know, whatever we can do within our respective spaces to really honor that sustainability mindset, I think is what we should be pursuing as designers. And in design and its close relationship to construction, there are a lot of methods that I think we need to start letting go of. We are still clinging to concrete blocks and wood paneling without considering the resources that are needed to create these things. And why not, consider more man-made materials like the gypsum and like the concrete
board, steel frame,
you know, which are giving you the same kind of...
I understand there's a project that recycles plastic that can't be sent away into blocks. That you can use
Oh,
to
I didn't
make.
know that.
For construction,
I'll find it and add it in the show notes.
Kevin, the producers are frantically getting our attention to let us know that we are running out of time. We have about 2 minutes again. So tell us tell the folks where we can find you.
You can find me on Instagram at K_Alistair Design. I also had a separate design page called the_Loveseat 868, where I had been profiling some more of my design work under a design miniseries that was kind of tied to the pandemic and the fallout from the pandemic.
Yeah.
So on that page, I was really walking people through how to create personal spaces for self-care and that kind of thing.
Was this the one featured in the news there?
In the Catholic News.
Catholic News,
in
yes.
the Catholic News, okay.
So there's
Sorry,
some content there as well. I'm on Facebook, Kevin A. Garcia as
Lovely.
well.
Fantastic.
Well, Kevin, this was an amazing episode. Thank you for agreeing
to come on and spilling the design tea and talking to us
Thank
about
you.
your journey and your experiences and your
Thank you for
aesthetic.
having
We
me.
love this. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
And
It was a pleasure.
And we'll see you guys next week
Yeah. On
on the Interior
Interior.
the
Podcast.
Interior
And-
Podcast.
Yeah, so here we go. Bye, guys.
Bye. You can listen to the Interior Podcast on Apple Podcasts,
Spotify
SoundCloud.
and all other streaming platforms.
You can follow us on social media on Instagram.
Yes, and even Facebook at The Interior Podcast.
Go ahead and follow us now.
Thank you.